Welcome to the introductory session on Python programming. So in this presentation, I'm going to walk you through some of the sample programs so you can know more about how to develop applications in Python. This course is targeted towards high school kids and freshman students who are new to programming. Python is a fantastic platform to learn programming. It's quick, fast, and it's one of the most popular software development language out there. Okay, so one of the things that you need to remember is so when code walkthrough is one of the very key skills for some of the best programmers. You want to be a good programmer, you need to not just write code, but you should be able to understand code and make changes as and when you go. Because most of these systems, most of the work environments, you work with some pre-existing codes and write upgrades to that. So walkthrough is one of the key things. Next, simple programs. So let's look at the first program here. So what it says is create a program that asks the user to enter their name and their age and print out a message addressed to them, which tells them which year they will turn 100 years. So this program in Python, this is a simple example. So here first you have from datetime, you import datetime. Then you take the input of name. So you prompt the user to ask him to enter the name, and then that is saved into the name variable. Next, age, you have an explicit convert using int, because when you input, it inputs in the form of a string, but when you explicitly convert, it converts into a integer age. Then you run your function 100, in which you calculate which year the age is going to be 100 years old, and then you print that out in the printout command. So print and input are all predefined functions by Python. So once you import the datetime, you can read the datetime, and so that's about that. Let's go to the next example. The next example says enter the number from the user, and depending on the number, whether it is even or odd. It's a very simple function. It's a very basic elementary introduction. So what you're going to do is first num, that's where you do an explicit convert from string to integer. You input a number and you run num mod 2, which says if it is greater than 0 it's odd, or else it's even. Let's go to the third program now. Here we look at what is functions. So one of the best things out there with Python is you write less number of code compared to C++ or Java, but you get the job done. Okay, so functions, this is one way you can do functional driven programming in Python. Okay, so let's get back to this question here. Write a function that takes a character and returns true if it is a vowel, false otherwise. So here you deal with functions. First you write def is vowels bracket char. So what it means is def is a definition, is vowel is the function, and it accepts a character. Next you have a variable called as vowels. So what vowels is going to do is it's going to take a, e, I, o, u. Okay, and then you write your if condition where you check whether the inputted character which is sent is in the vowels or not. If it is not in a, e, I, o, u, it's going to return false, but if it is in a, e, I, o, u, it's going to return true. Next program talks views, it's one step above the earlier program. Here you look at different multiple functions and how do you interact with them in Python. Okay, so the program is simulate a simple banking operation. Banking operation means putting the money in the bank, withdrawing the money from the bank. So here first you have the main program, that is the def init. So here you declare a variable called self.balance. So the balance is 0, and then when you start the program, when you call the program, it's going to first print your account is created. Then it's going to call the next function, that is deposit. When you call deposit, it takes the amount and then it asks you for a prompt to enter the amount you're depositing, and then it converts that into an integer. Next it's going to add the amount to the balance, and then it displays your current balance. Next is withdraw function, def withdraw. So in this what happens is it again prompts you to ask for enter the amount to be withdrawn. If the amount is greater than the balance, then it says insufficient balance, else it's going to say it's going to print remaining balance. After deducting the one, it's going to print the remaining balance. Last is the function inquiry. Inquiry here means looking for what is the current balance, what is self balance after all the activities. So then you call all the functions. So account is equal to account. You first instantiate and create balance. Then you do deposit, withdraw, and inquire. And you can see the output also. When the account is created, you enter the amount 5,000. It says your new balance is 5,000. And then when it says enter amount to withdraw is 2,000, 2,000 is less than 5,000. So it cuts 2,000 and shows the remaining balance is 3,000. So this is another example of a simple application of which stimulates a banking operation in Python. Next I want to talk about a little one more step. We take from basic writing basic functions, we come into improving the logic and writing more basic functions. So here in we are looking at a game of blackjack. Blackjack, you know, you play with the dealer and you keep taking hit or stand based on the number that you have. So for this application, first you have a function called as diff card. Here you initialize the cards, all the numbers of the cards. Then it also has a function. It returns random.choice in the card. So when you call it, it deals a card and shows that to you. This is the one. Next, calculate score. This is another function which is used in the main program where you calculate the card counting. Okay, so this. And next, diff comparator. Diff comparator compares the two scores. So whether this comparison tells the score based on the hit and stand. Okay, and it says if the game is won by the dealer or is won by the player is decided by comparator. Let's go to the next slide. Here we see the main logic, play game. Okay, in play game you call all the functions, not just printing the logo or symbol. As you see print logo, it prints blackjack on the screen when you run this application. It calls all the functions such as uh, 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 it calls all the functions. You can see it calls calculate score, then it calculates the score and returns it, and then use comparator. You can use all this in this. So once you have finished calling this, there is a logic. Here there's a logic which checks for the score comparisons. So if it is above 21, then the dealer wins, but if you get below 21, you're gonna win. It's one of the scenario there. This, and then at the very end you have it asks you for it prints out the score as you keep playing, and then at the end when you have the last thing when it says input, do you want to play or not? If you say yes, it continues and restarts the game by calling play game, or else no means it exits. So this is about the blackjack app. Okay, next, let's go to the last example here. I want to talk about database interaction. So database interaction is writing applications which talk with the database. So here you look at sample code which talks about import MySQL connector. MySQL connector is a module. So it gives a lot of features of how to interact with the database. So we're using MySQL database and we're using a MySQL connector in Python. Okay, and there's a I want to introduce this because this is a very essential in Python because most of the applications are data bound. Okay, and yeah, one more thing before I forgot to say, the Blackjack app, you can watch Blackjack in the movie 21. So it talks about some MIT students going and playing, cheating, they're just beating the system in the blackjack casino. So that's about blackjack. Now let's get back to the data interaction. So now in data interaction, I told you that MySQL, we're using MySQL database connector, and you need to use pip to install this. And after that, you're going to call import, and then you link connection of the database. You call the host localhost, so it's located on your computer. Username is user, password is password, and the database is an example, GFG. Okay. Next, you connect the cursor, and in the cursor you have to pass the query. The query select all the rows and columns of the student table, and then for X in results, you load that into results, and then you print out the results, and then after printing the results successfully, disconnect from the database. So this brings us to the end. So thank you so much for looking and getting some information on some basic applications that you can build with Python. Python is a fantastic language, I repeat again, and it is a beauty on its own. So thank you.